As usual, the world is going to hell. We're here to help you put it in a handbasket. Starting off with the world going to hell, did you know that if you look at Facebook, you're going to get jealous?
That makes sense.
You're just going to sit there and stew all day long. You thought you had a good life, didn't you?
Well, you look at Facebook and it's like, I had no idea how unhappy I was.
It's all those duck face pictures. What did you say was replacing duck face?
I don't want to talk about that.
Sex doll face?
Yeah. I think there was a post on Reddit, and it had some pretty convincing evidence.
Yeah. So sex doll face is the new thing. So if you're still duck facing, then you are so last year. Everybody knows it's the sex doll face. That's going to be a meme.
People are already saving 1920 by 1080. No, stop that. I see you there with that screen capture. Stop it.
This is not going to end well. So we talked about Facebook. We got that out of the way, and I hope we don't have to talk about that crap anymore. Let's talk about Skype. There's an open letter to Skype, and this is by tons of different people. All the signatures are at the bottom, but this is kind of interesting. They're writing to Tony Bates, who's the Skype division president, Microsoft's chief privacy officer, Brendan Lynch, and Microsoft's general counsel, Brad Smith. And what they want to do here is encourage them to be transparent, because Skype spies on you. We've reported on this before. Skype can listen at any time they want. They can take videos at any time they want. They can watch what you type. They keep everything on servers, everything. They spy on everything. So all this is really calling for is a transparency, I guess it's sort of like a transparency report, similar to like what Google, Twitter, and Sonic.net do. And I think it's kind of interesting. I'll let you guys take a look at it. And you can see here at the bottom all the organizations and individuals who are signed on with this open letter.
Skype's been implicated in international espionage as well. It's like, how could, these foreign nationals, is like, how did you know what was in my Skype conversation? It's like, well, it's been infiltrated. And
that's one of the bullet points here that they're calling for, is they want to know, what is their involvement with different organizations in China, et cetera, et cetera. So they just want to know these things, and these things should be made public. If you're using a service, you should know exactly what the other parties on the other end are going to be doing with you and your life and your data and your personal information and your correspondences. So that's kind of interesting. You can take a look at that if you like. How about this? Multi-window Andro.
Andrew.
This thing is Mojo, and I turned it into Andrew. I don't even know. Multi-window Android. So it's becoming more like Windows or OS 10 or Linux or any other regular operating system. Because before, you didn't have multiple windows. You couldn't put, like several different things on the screen and drag them around.
Well, I think the Galaxy Note 2 had some limited multitasking capabilities.
Yeah. Yeah, you did have a few, but this is only a proprietary Samsung thing at the moment. But what I want to talk about is what are the implications of a system like this. Because, if Android sticks around and computers continue to get more powerful, smaller, and use less power, we're going to see Android explode. Small devices, pocket devices, you're going to have a computer in your pocket at all times on your key ring. That'll be your computer. You can plug that in. Now, what if it starts to go in this direction? Is it going to start replacing some other operating systems like, Windows and OS 10 and that sort of thing? What do you think?
Well, it's really, as long as you can move the data really easily, like you dock your phone and then it goes to your desktop and then you grab your phone and run and you dock it with a laptop, that would be really cool. I would really like to have that. Yeah,
we don't have that level of integration yet with Android. And that's really going to be the bee's knees, if you can do that. Can you imagine working on like a spreadsheet, and if you're going to a meeting, just, like swing it from your phone or from your desktop onto your phone so you can go to the meeting, and then from your phone, throw it onto their computer? That'd be awesome.
Services like Dropbox and SkyDrive and Google Drive are very transformative in that they allow almost that kind of workflow.
Still some hoops to jump through, but it's
a little clunky.
Oh, we have to talk about Facebook again, because they're doing horrible things, and it kind of ties into what we were just talking about with Skype. In the newest version of the Facebook app for Android, when it updates, well, this is what's going to happen now. Facebook now has the ability, and you're supposed to allow them. You have to click OK. But now they're going to be able to record you at any time without your knowledge or consent, and they're going to be able to take pictures and videos of you at any time without your knowledge or consent.
That's deeply disturbing.
What are they going to do with them?
It's going to go into a vast marketing database.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I see Mr. Tom Smith has been to the bathroom 4 times today. We need to advertise colon blow.
Colin Blow. From Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Wow. I almost forgot about Colin Blow. He doesn't need Colin Blow. He needs Colin No.
I was actually running some Google ads for Happy Fun Ball, but just for giggles.
You paid for the ads for Happy Fun Ball?
Yeah, because it's not you don't actually get charged until somebody clicks through. But my $20 that I spent on that really did not last very long
Like
at all.
2 days, Happy Fun Blow.
Yeah.
People clicking on Happy Fun Ball?
I immediately got thousands of clicks. It was very surprising.
Wow. So one of the alternatives you guys have is an application called Fastbook. So check that out. Or you could just get the hell off of Facebook. But you need Facebook to enter our contests. By the way, we're doing a contest. We're giving away an SSD. 256 gigabyte SSD from ADATA. The XPG SX900. It's quite fast. It's freaking fast, as a matter of fact. That's how I say it. Yeah. We're giving this away. The link is in the description. So we're giving it away on Facebook and on our website. So you have a choice if you don't want to use the great evil of Facebook.
Or what we're saying is that when you use Facebook, just use facetious information.
Yeah.
Or just make it up completely. I mean, whatever.
And if you want a prize from us, just make sure that that email account is something that you have access to, so I can email you and say, hey, you won that thing over there. And you're raising our number on Facebook because we need more likes so we can get marketing people to go, oh my goodness gracious, let us shower you with things to give away. Then we can give them away to you guys. It's great. Let's use the system and abuse it, fellas.
I really enjoy reading the comments on the page from like all the normal named people, and then it's like Baron von Datatron. Facebook hasn't shut down.
We do have a few Baron von Datatrons or whatever on there, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We're going to get into some copyright this week because, Mega launched, and that's going to start a lot of copyright stuff. But first, I want to talk about something good that's happening in the world, and this is happening in Finland. Now, Finland, if you don't remember, we talked about this a few weeks ago, or was it a month ago? I don't even remember. The girl, she downloaded one song from an artist in Finland, and I guess the powers that be asked her for 600 euros, and then when she said no, they sent in like freaking stormtroopers.
Yeah, they dispatched 4 helicopters. They rappelled off of her house and swung through the windows.
Shot her dad with a bow and arrow.
It was fairly epic.
Yeah. So anyway, now in Finland, one of the interesting laws they have is that if 50,000 people sign on to community-made legislation, like the public gets together and makes some law, and 50,000 people sign on it, well, their government has to look at it and has to vote on it. So right now they're taking copyright into their own hands, and they've created a petition. They've created some copyright reform laws, and the main thing the main thing that they're trying to do here is keep away from American-style copyright law, where the crime and the punishment are totally unrelated. So that's going to be kind of interesting. We'll see how that goes. Keep an eye on Finland. You guys are doing the right thing. And that's really cool to see. We just need to get the lawmakers over here to realize that an MP3 should not cost like $600,000.
What's really disturbing about that is that as we're describing that, it's like, oh, these laws are by the citizens, for the citizens. And it's like hauntingly familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on that.
I don't even understand. I don't know. Because right now, in this country, it's like by the corporations, for the corporations. I have no idea where that...
You will become boot fodder if you get in the way of business. All hail the mighty dollar.
We're just putting hell in a handbasket for you guys.
That almost sounds like communist propaganda from the 60s. It's like, comrade, fighting dollars.
This is kind of funny. There's another copyright story here on Torrent Freak. Now, the government of Antigua has decided to create like a Pirate Bay style website. And they have 100% legal right to do this right now. Here's the reason that this is all happening. Because there's a bunch of gambling websites over there. And U.S. has blocked all these gambling websites. And they've not allowed these websites to function in the United States of America. But the WTO, the World Trade Organization, said, well, hey, these websites should be allowed to. And the U.S. is still blocking them. So after all this mess, the WTO said, well, you know what? Antigua can violate $21 million worth of U.S. copyright every year and just have fun with it. That's how they're getting repaid. So they're setting up this site, and they're thinking about, charging people $5 a month to go on there and just download all the American media. And they'll be doing so completely legally. The U.S. cannot storm in because the WTO has essentially sanctioned this. How ridiculous is this?
Well, what's going to be really ridiculous is the episode of The Tech where we're talking about the Black Ops team that was sent to assassinate the server administrators. It's like, I'm a Navy SEAL. I'm here to assassinate you. It's like, but I'm just a sysadmin.
Yeah, in 10 years, we'll have people denying that Antigua ever existed. Like, what do you mean? There was no island there. And people were like, yes, I have pictures. And like, oh, no, you're an Antigua denier. I don't know. All kinds of things like that.
We've done terrible things in the name of, getting dull, cheaper fruit. So, I mean, at least historically in the 60s. So
yeah, what are a few dead people in some country that doesn't speak our language? We got cheaper bananas. Yeah. Let's just move on to Mega, because that's what's going down. Mega launched a few days after the last episode of the tech, and there's been all kinds of things that have been going on since then. Kim.com's speech was interesting, and I'm not going to get into Kim.com that much, but we do have a question for you guys, and I think this is going to be a little bit of fun. What is Kim.com's alignment? Is he chaotic evil? Is he neutral evil? Is he lawful good? What is he? Now, we have a thought about this, but we're going to start a forum post, and I'll start the forum post, and it'll be in the description here. We want to know what his alignment is and why. So what do you think, Wendell?
I think that he's probably lawful evil, but I'm not sure, because he's very much the enemy of my enemy is my friend, very Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's just, he seems like a nice guy on the surface, and ever since he's been in the limelight, he's been totally nice guy, but he's a very shrewd businessman.
Well, him being a nice guy benefits him because he has the backing of everyone, and it seems like he's doing everything by the book. At least he tries to do everything by the book. Sometimes his flamboyance gets in the way of that, and I guess he can create more of a scene than he means to it sometimes. I mean, you see this video here. At the end of the video, the freaking helicopters come in. It's ridiculous. Like the FBI helicopters come in. At the end of the videos, helicopters come in, and it's him with a bunch of like sexy girls dressed in military. And he goes, "Hey, stop, everyone! Let's just get along." And everyone smiles and dances or whatever. But
well, you know what? Listening to some of his points in his speech, it really reminded me a lot of Gabe Newell at Valve. Because he talks a lot about this. He talks a lot about the same kind of thing, like piracy is a distribution problem and a pricing problem more than a, problem with everybody wants to steal everything. And it seems like Kim.com was making the same point, but Gabe Newell's definitely lawful good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems that Gabe Newell is just as concerned about his customers as he is almost about his own like health and well-being. Whereas Kim.com seems like he's concerned about doing the right thing in a way that benefits him. And if it happens to benefit society too, that's really good. In fact, it's even better because that'll put him in a position to benefit himself even more.
Well, I think Kim.com is buddied up with a lot of the musicians that he has because a lot of those musicians see the music industry as being against them. And, I think there was something interesting that happened this week. The #1 artist in America is not signed to any major label.
Which artist is that?
On the like the record charts or the Billboard charts or whatever.
Yeah, the #1 artist.
Yeah, I think so.
How did they allow that to happen? Because I know the Billboard's always like a mess anyway. It seems like that's fixed.
This is the thing that the music companies are going to freak out about. Like expect news stories that are related to full tilt media industry wig out next week because it's like, oh my God, somebody's #1 and they're not signed to a label.
And it seems like a lot of the artists are down with this idea of spreading their media. Look at the guys here who were with, Kim.com, people who worked with him. Everyone from P. Diddy, is that what he's going by now?
I have
is
no
that
idea.
the Puff Man?
Snoop Lion?
Snoop
No,
Lion?
That's a different guy.
Oh, Snoop Dogg.
Nope, Snoop Lion.
Oh, Mary J. Bilge or something?
Bilgewater?
Yeah, Mary J. Bilgewater. Alicia Keys, I think she's a famous piano player. Kanye West and Chris Brown, known for punching people, I've heard. So yeah, but all these people who are normally pundits of the grand scheme of all the marketing companies and record industry people type things. That was not a very good sentence, but they're all here, with Kim.com. If it's not metal or bluegrass or classical or jazz or anything mainstream, it's garbage. But that's just the way things go. Let me just say a couple of the quotes from his speech because I like this one a lot. He did say, "Let me be clear to those who use copyright law to drown innovation and stifle competition. You will be left on the side of the road of history." That was a pretty bad version of his accent there, but that's an interesting thing that he said. And yeah.
Well, it's really interesting because in America, copyright, a lot of what copyright's about is keeping copyrighted works scarce, which theoretically keeps the price up.
That's not good. I mean, as far as history tells us, that's not good.
Yes. Well, in the beginning, copyright was a 20-year limited term, which the Founding Fathers thought was a good balance between the incentive to have somebody actually do the work in the first place and the value that that work brings to society. But now, it's 100+ years. So
yeah, there's
nothing entering the public domain. Maybe this is a natural response to nothing entering the public domain. Because
it's like an organic response to this.
The cost of reproducing and distributing these copyrighted works is basically zero now.
Also, anyway, mega.co.nz has launched, and it's now one of the top 150 sites. It's bigger than Dropbox and RapidShare as far as the hits go. Like 500,000 people joined in the first day alone, over 500,000. So that's pretty crazy. A lot of people are criticizing it, saying that it's got its hits, it's got its publicity. This guy knows how to do marketing, and I'm going to really blame the Department of Justice and the FBI. They're like his own marketing company. I mean, because he would be a dude in New Zealand with a business if it wasn't for the FBI and the Department of Justice and all these guys turning him into an international celebrity. So I guess you guys did a good job. Maybe they're working for him secretly. Maybe he's that big of a mastermind that the FBI works for him, and this is all a marketing stunt. I see what you did, Kim.com.
I don't think that's the case.
No, I don't either. But still, it could almost be that way. That's how stupid the actions of the Department of Justice and the FBI are. It seems like a marketing stunt at this point. But anyway, it's bigger than Dropbox and RapidShare and whatnot. It's getting more hits, but it doesn't have the functionality of Dropbox and RapidShare yet. Like, you don't have the desktop application. It hasn't matured yet. It's been released, and it can do a few things, and it's got encryption. And that's what I want to talk about next, is the big move here is encryption. And he is being Kim.com. He wants to see a world where his encryption technology is shared, and we reclaim the internet, and we encrypt everything.
Yeah, everything encrypted on the internet means that it's very much more hardened against surveillance.
Yeah, and it's not SSL. I mean, SSL is on the site, but it's a different type of encryption. So, and that's really what he wants to spread, and that's kind of interesting. So we'll see how that goes, and see if more sites start to encrypt everything. That's an absolute nightmare for the powers that be.
If we could figure out a way to do SSL type encryption without having every instance of SSL encryption require a public IP address, we'd be in really good shape. And part of what Mega does is the files and the encryption and stuff like that, because the browser's functional enough, happen client side. So it's more about plausible deniability for Mega. They have no idea of knowing what your file names are or what your files are.
Yeah, they don't even have access to it. They can't break the encryption. It's just yours.
It's interesting because the encryption is not as secure as it could be for the end user. It's actually more secure for Mega than the end user, which is interesting.
That seems to be the way he functions.
Yeah.
That's pretty shrewd, I would say.
That's a notch in the lawful evil belt. But I could be convinced otherwise if someone has an appropriate essay.
Yeah, someone could say chaotic good. Let us know why. I don't think anyone's going to be able to say that he's chaotic evil, because I don't know.
Maybe.
Is he chaotic evil?
I mean,
he's not true neutral.
No.
He's got too much of an agenda to be true neutral. All right. Anyway,
true neutral makes me think Rick Moranis.
Wouldn't that be true clueless? I don't know what's going on. I just want to go over there and sit. Rick Moranis. There are already some people out there trying to get this stop file lockers. You can take a look at that. But it's basically people groaning about new technologies in the world. They just don't understand the world. And one of the videos, the music videos from the launch of Mega was taken down. Gemma from Germany. That Gemma is a mess.
Yeah.
So guys in Germany, get it together with Gemma. So Gemma took it down, even though Kim.com had full rights to use everything that he used, and the performers that were there performing live gave him permission to perform live at his house.
And put it on the internet.
Yeah. And the other songs that were taken down were part of it, were songs that he had created himself. So that's kind of funny that,
it's interesting how that whole copyright takedown, it's like, we just want to suppress information. We don't care. Shoot first, ask questions later.
So Google released their transparency reports, and it shows that U.S. surveillance requests are up 33%. That was last year. Now, let's talk about what's interesting about this, because people are saying that that's going on, and then there's another article that came out talking about how Google is protecting its users, and they've required the police department to get a warrant. But is Google really protecting their users, or are they protecting themselves?
Well, you have to read that really carefully, because the report doesn't talk about intelligence requests, which wouldn't be on there because they're confidential. It wouldn't be on anything that has a gag order wouldn't be on there. And there's a lot of types of data that don't require a warrant. It's an administrative subpoena. And so there are lots of those requests that were administrative subpoenas that don't require a warrant. And so everybody's like, yeah, Google should always get a warrant. And it's like, well, they don't always have the choice.
Yeah, and I mean, to Google's credit, they do want more progressive laws. However, they are complying with all the laws that exist currently, and they're giving tons of things to authorities without warrants. They only request a warrant when legally the entity requesting the information needs a warrant or a subpoena. So let's not make a big story out of this, media, and say that Google is doing something terribly good, because Google is not doing anything terribly good with this. They are just following the law to the T, covering their own ass, and I don't think they're really looking out for their customers any more than they are legally obligated to.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think that Google is trying to warn customers that, hey, there's some crazy stuff going on here. Perhaps someone should pay attention, but no one's paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of have to give up the stuff if the government requests it and it's required by law, but it is a good point that they are making it public.
And the laws are being changed to allow more and more stuff to be requested that does not require a warrant, but it's still, the law is that you must require the law is that you must comply with those information requests, even though there's not a warrant.
So they're complying but making noise. All right, more Google news. We got a bunch of Google news to go through. So X phone. Have you heard of this X phone they're talking about?
It's
pure speculation.
It might be the Jesus phone.
It's pure speculation, though. I mean, there's not really much to go on other than the fact that Motorola had some projects that were in the works, and when Google acquired Motorola Mobility, they said, hey, we're going to keep a few of their projects and get rid of some of their other projects. And now there's this X phone. It sounds so freaking mysterious, but a lot of this is based on some quotes. Yeah, just quotes from Larry Page and some other Google executives. And let me just read a few of his quotes that this phone is based on. In today's multi-screen world, the opportunities are endless. Battery life is a huge issue. When you drop your phone, it shouldn't go splat. So now, based on that, people are saying, ooh, if Larry Page wants it, I bet they're working on a phone that's indestructible, that you can drop down a flight of stairs, metal stairs covered in lava and spikes.
That you can wrap around your wrist.
Exactly. And then also a phone that maybe charges just by using Wi-Fi signals or something magical. Or a phone that doesn't really need to be charged but once a week.
I think with the Google Glasses thing that you're eventually just going to carry around a box on your belt, and then it's going to talk to your watch and your glasses and your handheld computer or tablet or whatever.
It may not even be a box. It may just be a fancy belt buckle. It might not be that big. I mean, if it's an Android-powered device or something with a small RISC processor.
It would be really awesome to have an Android pocket protector. Let's get a wireless Bluetooth link to my Google Glasses. I would totally wear that.
Man, if nerds back then knew what nerds these days would have, I don't know what. So Google might be building a secret wireless network. Now here's what's happening. Dish has been talking about building a cellular LTE network. So they're working on some technology. And then Google decides to start testing out some technology at their campus that uses the exact same technology that the Dish network is using for their LTE network across the country. They must be in cahoots.
Well, that would be good.
So that's what The Verge is alluding to here. They're alluding to perhaps they're alluding some colluding.
Well, I saw a paper a few years ago about a proposal that it used a couple of different segments of spectrum, but the short version of it was that at very low ranges you could get incredible throughput, but at long ranges it was very slow. And the cool thing with that was that you could hop from local network to a regional network to like a cellular type network, and then all the way back to local. And your consumer devices could share the spectrum with national providers.
Ooh, and you could just move about freely.
Yes.
And it would seem like you're on the same network even though you're mysteriously transferring between them.
Yes, exactly.
Very interesting. I wonder if that would be something that they're doing here, because this uses narrow slivers of the 2.5 gigahertz frequency band, and that's part of Clearwire, which is part of what Dish Network is using for their, they're trying to, the Dish is trying to purchase this for their LTE infrastructure. So that'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. Let's talk about some other areas that Google could take over the world. The driverless car. Now Forbes, what's this author's name? Chunkamumui. I'm just tore up that guy's name, I think. Anyway, but he's got an interesting series coming out here. There's part 1 and part 2, but I've been following this series because what he's talking about here is how the driverless car is going to disrupt the industry, and not just the automobile industry. It's going to disrupt several industries, and not a lot of people are taking note of this. And you know, he talked about how different technologies just, you know, disrupt several different industries. Look at Blockbuster, look at Sears, look at all these different companies like Kodak, and that did not change with the times. And now we've got this driverless car. What's that going to do for the automobile industry? Here's what he says that it's going to disrupt. Car makers, parts suppliers, car dealers, auto insurers, auto financiers, body shops, emergency rooms, health insurers, medical practices, personal injury lawyers, government taxing authorities, road construction companies, parking lot operators, oil companies, owners of urban real estate, and on and on and on. This is a hugely disruptive technology. Do you see this as being as disruptive as the author does here?
I don't think it'll be that disruptive immediately, but it could be that disruptive over a period of, say, 10 years.
Yeah, he's calling it a $2 trillion a year industry.
Well, it's just replacing labor. It's machines replacing labor. And the same thing's happening with a lot of the manufacturing that's coming back to America. Mm-hmm. The manufacturing that's coming back to America tends to be extremely sophisticated, robotic-based manufacturing. Because then you can have a team
cheaper than human labor.
Well, much cheaper than human labor. And, you know, a team of 10 humans can keep an eye on 1,000 robots and keep them running.
Yeah. Well, what we'll see with this is initially we'll see different companies buying fleets of these. And that'll be a huge buy. And Google will probably make a lot of money with licensing. I doubt they'll be making the cars themselves. I don't think we'll see Google cars out there. It'll probably be one company or another. But
the liability issues have also never been worked out.
Yeah. So there's a lot of work to be done. But it's an interesting article and an interesting series to follow. So I do recommend it. And it's pretty well thought out. So take a look at it. Talk about a little bit of hardware, shall we? How about a 3D printer that can print all of the items? And, you know, nowadays we have these 3D printers. They print a bunch of items. If you want to build something, they can print all the parts to build a car. But then you got to build it yourself. What if you could get a 3D printer that could print all the parts and then build the thing for you?
That would be awesome.
Well, that's what a patent has been filed here by iRobot. They're the makers of Roomba. And they filed this patent for a 3D printer that can print out all the parts and then assemble the items. So that's pretty cool. And it's over on Ars Technica, but you guys can take a look at that and talk about the implications, if you like, in the description or in the comments or whatever you guys do down there. Whatever you kids do down there.
Make trouble.
Yeah, you guys can make trouble. Where's the AMD video? Yeah.
Yeah, if we were thinking you should have posted it now, and then we could post this tomorrow.
I am going to post it like now before it goes up because it's pretty much ready to go online. It's going online before this.
Okay.
But still.
We're shooting it before it's actually been posted?
It took us this long to make it so we could, I mean, that's how long it takes to falsify data. You know? When you have an agenda then, we're getting paid so much by AMD like we are, you have to falsify things correctly.
It really was disturbing, too, because we had to check everything 85 times because our results did not agree with the earlier tests.
No. And a lot of people are retesting now and finding interesting things because of the new drivers and whatnot. And I want to say this because I'm kind of proud about this. I've been seeing activity on the our Build a PC of Reddit. You guys are using the 8350. I saw like 3 or 4 posts today, like, hey, I'm building a gaming system. Here's my specs. And I looked at the comments. There were like 60 comments, and there wasn't one comment saying you were an idiot. Like, before you'd see, like, idiot, use the i5. There were like 10 comments saying, like, I just picked one up. It's really snappy. Oh, my God, that's a great CPU. So are people actually purchasing these and testing them out and saying, oh, it is pretty fast? Is that what's happening? I'm still running my Intel. I'm not switching. If you guys are wondering, I am not switching over to AMD. I'm still running my Intel, so that's just the way it's going to be.
I'd really like to get one and see how it does for virtualization because I've got a whole bunch of virtual Linux VMs, and I'm really curious how that'll
Yeah,
run.
well, the Intel CPUs have that virtualization technology built in, which is nice, and they just seem to be a beast for productivity. Like, I love this thing for productivity.
I'm still running a couple of dual socket Nihilum servers, so if anybody wants to send me a really awesome server with about 64 gigs of RAM to replace my current server, that would be awesome.
So speaking of Intel and AMD, we have a few things to talk about with Intel and AMD. Intel is exiting the motherboard market. No more motherboards from Intel.
What?
Well, they're still going to make reference designs. They're just not going to mass produce.
Yeah, and it'll be, you know, I bet Asus has been, like, I bet everyone there is drunk this week. They're just toasting all week because they get a lot of business. And Gigabyte as well, but Asus is the big one. They're like one of the biggest manufacturers of electronics in the world, or components in the world. And this is going to just, I guess, make it even stronger for them, because now there's going to be no competition from Intel. So, Intel will make the reference design. Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, ASRock, all the other companies will make their parts. And I don't see how this is a big deal at all, because for enthusiasts, a lot of them don't even know that Intel makes motherboards. They historically do not overclock well. Some people say they're stable, but if you ever tried to use what was it, the Bone Trail or the Skull Trail? That wasn't very stable. Skull Trail had dual CPUs.
Yeah, it was the dual 775.
What was one before that in the black box that I have laying around here somewhere? I don't even know.
It was more unstable than a moose on rollerblades.
So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Intel motherboards. I love their chipsets, though. But
I think JJ from Asus may be sending us some stuff to play with, maybe.
You mean he better? Yeah. You're the carrot and I'm the punch in the face. Not even a stick, I'm just a punch in the face. You're like, well, send it if you want to. I'm like, damn it, send it. And here's the response from Asus. They've come out and said, hey, we're totally dedicated to the platforms that are going to be coming down the road, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're dedicated to the enthusiast system, build, do-it-yourself market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can read that there. It's good to see Asus coming out and making a firm response.
This is a really strange thing for Intel to do a week after CES, where they announced new platforms. Like,
they got Haswell and stuff coming out.
And there's a new all-in-one platform and a new half-height ITX, compact ITX or whatever.
Well, they're going to be focusing on other things. I mean, yeah, they've got the NUC. They've got stuff. It looks like they're focusing on smaller, I guess the post-desktop era, post-PC era. They're going to focus on more of those type devices.
And AMD made a similar announcement that they're looking more at portable devices and blah, blah, blah in a post-PC era, whatever that means. I think what that means is it's going to be more time between processor upgrades, and the processor upgrades aren't going to be that great, which makes me very sad on the inside.
Yeah. You know what? I don't care what happens, as long as it'd be really nice if, like, Microsoft would give us an API, or who needs to give us an API to give the game designers low-level access to the graphics cards? Who would do that? Would it be Microsoft?
Well, it depends on the platform. In the case of, like, the Surface, yes.
Yeah. That's what we need. If the developers had low-level access to the graphics cards, they could really take advantage of it and do crazy things, like 10 times crazier than what we can do currently.
Well, that was that's how consoles were born. Is like, if you look at how
they get low-level access to all the hardware. You can do anything with it.
If you look at how they built, like, Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo, they did all sorts of insanely terrible things to squeeze it in there. Like, the clouds are the same as the bushes, just a different color and crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was like, the lost levels on Metroid? No, that was a cartridge glitch. You were playing around data structures in memory. They weren't real levels. Anyway,
back to computing. AMD has announced their future line of all-in-one, I guess, APUs. Shouldn't be all-in-ones, there's APUs. Looks kind of interesting. The next APU is the A10 6800K. It's got 100-watt TDP, and it's going to be featuring the Radeon 8670. Now, there's some lower-watt versions that are going to have an underclocked GPU. So there will be some options for you, but yeah, I'm a big fan of the APUs for low-priced gaming systems, because they do a good job. For like $300, you can put together a gaming system. It's kind of cool to see those come out. In more gaming hardware news, Geforce Experience, the open beta, has launched. Have you heard of the Geforce Experience? It looks at your system, and it relies on cloud data to look at the game you're playing, and it basically finds the best combination of drivers and settings for each individual game. So a lot of it's based on other information they collect from other people, like how does it run on this machine, how does it run on this machine. But they look at what you got, and they say, here's how you should be playing this game. So
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it could be pretty nice. Give you optimum settings so that you can better take advantage of your games and have a smooth experience, and also get the best possible graphics and everything like that. So that's pretty cool. We've been talking a lot about the post-PC future. Dell, have you seen what they're doing? They got these new Android sticks, right?
Yeah.
But they're kind of like Android sticks, but they're not like Android sticks, because you've got Android on there, and Android will do like all the stuff just like all the basic stuff.
Basically, they're jumping on the Raspberry Pi bandwagon.
Right, but here's the weird thing. It's also going to have a service like OnLive. So your actual OS, you can have OS 10 or Windows or Linux or whatever you want. You're going to be hooking up to one of their giant cloud servers and running your OS there. So it'll be like a virtual environment, virtual desktop in your pocket. So some things
Dell's reinventing thin clients.
Yeah. but it's going to be thin clients through our wonderful infrastructure.
Yep.
How long is it going to take to load Windows through the internet?
Well, I think that'll be really popular in some corporate scenarios and probably medical customers, because Dell's really taken over the universe in medical customers, because all these hospitals don't want the liability of all the records and stuff, so they're just like, let's move it to the cloud. Yeah. So deploy 200 of these in a hospital and done.
Yeah, the starting point is $50, and the CEO of Dell said that, hey, because people were worried, like, because Dell right now, they make a lot of money with different services and everything. They're like, how are you going to make money? And he's like, well, 50% of that $50 is profit. So they're still making money on that $25 computer.
50% of the $50 is profit.
Yeah.
But, to get that thin client cloud, that's going to cost you $2,000 a year. If you're in a hospital, $4,000.
Yeah, they're definitely going to charge for that. And last thing I want to talk about here, in the CPU world, Intel has the go-ahead to build a $4 billion chip plant in Ireland to make their 14-nanometer processors. So that's pretty cool for all you guys over there in Ireland. Just wanted to basically have an excuse to say, what's up, guys in Ireland? Have an ale for me at the pub, would you? Or else.
It's going to be the most amazing plant ever.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. 4,300 jobs. That's like the population of Northern Ireland.
That is a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. I'm being stupid, but yeah. Oh, yeah, they're storing information on DNA. Didn't we already talk about this like a few months ago? They were trying to do this?
Yeah.
Now they have done it.
Yeah. Well, they did it, but reading it back was a little problematic because they had to replicate it like a billion times in order to read it back and then piece it together.
Now they've been able to read it back with a 99.9% accuracy.
Yeah.
So that's what's interesting. It's still going to be very expensive. They've stored some MP3s or one MP3, 26 seconds of it or something like that, and then Shakespeare sonnets on a strand of DNA. And the data density is that's what I want to talk about, the data density here. For reference, CERN has about 90 petabytes of data stored on 100 tape drives.
What?
100 tape drives. That's a lot of space. The exact same amount of data could be stored on 41 grams of DNA. So 90 petabytes on 41 grams of DNA. This technology is still like 10 years off, and it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be very slow still. There's not much to talk about in the gaming world right now. The Elder Scrolls Online beta sign-up is available, so if you guys want to do that, you can do it if you like. The website is signup.elderscrolls.online.com. So there you go. Go on there and sign up for the beta. Maybe you'll get into the beta. I don't know how it's going to be. I don't really play MMOs, but if I did, I'd try that one, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Picked up Max Payne 3 today, impulse buy for $10. I don't know if that's going to be any good or not, but I guess we'll see if I ever have time to play it. I'm just amassing games at this point. It's like a sickness. It's like, oh, this is only $4. I cannot pass this game up even though I will never play it. Have you done that too?
Yeah.
Your like Steam list gets to be like 250 games and you've played 6.
Yeah, Gabe's gotten really, really good at extracting money from me. It's not a good thing.
Yeah. But a lot of times I look at a game, I'm like, I want to see more games like that. I hope these lads do a good job. Here's $10. That should go into your pocket and make more games, please. So I feel good about it in that way. I'm investing in these companies. I feel like I'm a shareholder. I just hold a bunch of games I never play.
That is a good way to think about it.
Yeah. I think it is. I mean, it makes me sleep at night.
I didn't see anything else exciting other than supposedly the Leap Motion thing is going to be in stores at the end of the quarter.
Oh, really?
Like Best Buy is going to sell them.
Like March toward March and April it'll be in stores? Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, you better leap into motion and get one. But not at Best Buy.
Supposedly.
Not at Best Buy. I wouldn't buy one at that crap store.
Yeah, pretty much. I need to get it on the pre-order if you still can.
All right, so that's everything. Thank you guys for donating to the chip-in. You guys are awesome. If you want another way to donate and get something back, you can go and grab our album, Zweihander. And let's say if you guys buy like 100 copies of it by next week, I'll do the cinnamon challenge. I'll eat a spoonful of cinnamon on the show. I will do this. I don't know if we'll sell 100 copies or not. I'm working on some new Zweihander material, so that can be fun if you guys like that stuff. If you don't, then just turn me off right now. Just X.
Did you say 100 copies or 1,000?
100.
Well, I'm pretty sure one person can make you eat cinnamon then.
He'll have to buy several different copies. If one person does it and donates $1,000, I'll eat a spoonful of cinnamon.
Oh yeah, with the chip in, yeah.
Well, I mean, even on Bandcamp, you can, it's $3.33, but you can go in there and say like, I want to make it $3,333. You can add whatever amount you want on top of it, so it's at least $3.33.
So what are you gonna do if it's 1,000? Like you said, 100's of cinnamon. What's 1,000?
Oh, God. I'll do a handstand on this desk and then eat cinnamon. And I cannot do a handstand. I cannot.
That'll require me to move and operate the camera, which I suppose I can do. Being
This desk has a crack in it. I'll probably fall through it. This is going to be WWE going on in here.
I'll make sure the cameras are rolling in that case then.
So for $1,000, looks like I'm going to the hospital. That's the end of this episode. Because ain't nobody got time for whatever's happening right here. See you guys next week.